welcome back to my channel. Something new for my channel today. This is what I read in October. I read a lot. I go through stages of reading more, stages of reading less. I've tried to stop myself watching television at night because I found that I was watching TV and not reading, and I think I sleep better if I read, for starters. And also I don't think, television's not that good for your brain, is it really? Although some of it's obviously very informative, reading has got to be better for you than TV, hasn't it? So I try and stop myself watching TV last thing at night and make sure I read instead. And of course in October as well, I was on holiday for a week, and we all read, those of us who do read, all read a lot more on holiday because suddenly you're allowed. Suddenly it's free time. You're allowed to do what you want. So because of that, quite a lot of this month's reading material has been on Kindle. The ones that are on Kindle, I'm going to insert a picture in, provided my tech skills allow, so that you can see the cover of the books that I've been reading. And they're not in any particular order that I've read them in this month either. A bit about me as a reader. I have been a voracious reader all my life. As a child, I read constantly. I would read everywhere I was. Walking around the streets, I'd be reading a book. At school, I'd be reading under cover of the desk. At night, I would read by the light of the street lamp outside the bedroom. I wasn't allowed a bedside lamp because I would keep it on and read all night. My torch was taken off me because I would read under the covers. And so there was a street lamp just outside my bedroom window, so I would sit on the windowsill and read by the light of the street lamp outside, which probably didn't do my eyesight any good. When I was a child, I don't know how libraries work these days, but when I was a child, you could have 4 little pink tickets for yourself. Adults were allowed 8, so you could children could take out 4 books, adults could take out 8. My mother let me have her 8 tickets as well as my own 4. So you could take out children's books on an adult ticket, but obviously you couldn't take out adults' books from the adult section on a children's ticket. So with my mother's tickets and my own, I could take out 12 books at a time, and I took out 12 books twice a week. Twice a week I would read those 12 books and return them and change them for others. Some of them I would read again and again and again. Some of them you would read and enjoy, some of you didn't enjoy, but I read my way through the entire children's library in Yate. It was quite a large section, the children's section. It was a room of its own with a reading room separate, and they had a lot of children's books, and I read my way through a lot of them. And it's something I've carried on doing my whole life, is reading as much as possible. So this month I've read quite a weird eclectic selection of stuff. I joined Mrs M's book club. Caroline Mrs M has started a YouTube and Facebook book club, and I joined that, so I read the book club book. And then I'm in a bit of a murder mystery phase at the moment, so I've read quite a lot of those, but I've also read some other stuff. So I thought I'd talk to you generally about what it was, and we're going to start with the book club book. Now, I read that one on my Kindle. I do love my Kindle. I love a paper book. And I always read paper books at home, but for holiday reading, you cannot beat a Kindle. Where else can you take hundreds of books in your suitcase and only take up this much luggage allowance? Amazing things, a Kindle. So because Mrs M's book club was started just before I went away, I downloaded the book for that onto Kindle and read it on holiday. It's called Together by Julie Cohen. And this is my first what I read video. I'm going to try very hard not to put any spoilers in. It was an interesting read. It was something that I wouldn't normally have picked up to read. Just probably because I'm in this murder mystery phase at the moment. But it was a fractured timeline book. So it started at one point and then it went back to another point in history and moved around like that. I wasn't sure whether I enjoyed that. It's the basic story of a couple and their lifetime relationship, with a twist at the end. A twist at the beginning and a twist at the end, actually. It starts on a note of sadness, but you follow through the book and you read all about their life story and the various things that have shaped their relationship. And then I said there's a twist at the end that I almost didn't see coming. I knew there was going to be a twist. You could tell that we were leading up to something, but I was almost taken aback by what it was, and I realised just in time. It was a really good book. I enjoyed it. I would read other stuff by this author. She's not an author I've read before, but having read this and enjoyed it, I would, if I saw something else by her, perhaps in the charity shop or whatever, I would pick it up and read it. But apparently this is a departure from her usual style, so interesting to see if anything else catches my eye, to see whether I enjoy it, because I did enjoy this. It's my first experience of being in a book club as well, and I haven't actually added my comments yet to the discussion, so I really should go and do that, shouldn't I? Another one that I read on my Kindle Private Keep Out by Gwen Grant I read on my Kindle. I only read this last week. The reason I read this on my Kindle last week is because another YouTuber, Cheryl Pound Girl. This is Molly. Hello, Molly. Hello. Can you get down? I'm talking. Can you get down? That's good. Yeah, down you go. Another YouTuber, Cheryl Pound Girl, put on her Facebook. Can anybody remember this book? And she described this book, and a couple of people said, "Oh, is it?" It was a book that she'd enjoyed reading or having read to her by her mother as a child, and she wants to get it to read to her little one. And a couple of people said, "Oh, is it Millie Molly Mandy? Is it this and that?" And I read it. I read this description that she'd how she described it a couple of times, and it suddenly clicked. I thought, that's Private Keep Out by Gwen Grant, and it was. And that made me want to go back and read it again. So it's the story of I would say she's probably about 8 years old, 8 or 9 years old, young girl growing up in, I think we'll say Lancashire. It's certainly a mining town. It's set in 1950, I think, 1952 perhaps. Certainly not long after the end of the Second World War. It's not autobiographical, but there are certain parallels drawn from the author's life. About the Kindle version is that there's an interview with the author at the end, so that was really interesting to be able to, because this was a book that I enjoyed as a child. I think I didn't say this in the beginning. When Cheryl said that she'd enjoyed it as a child and she described it, it triggered this memory in me, and I remembered that I'd enjoyed it and wanted to read it again. So it was nice to reread this. I think there can be a stigma attached to reading children's books when you are an adult, and I don't think there should be. Why the hell shouldn't we read whatever we want, whenever we want? And if it's a happy memory from your childhood, why wouldn't you reread it and regress slightly? Why not? So yeah, this is she's 8 or 9 years old. She's the youngest of a large family, I think 6 children in total, and it's written entirely from her perspective, and it's written in the accents and vernacular of 1950s Lancashire, and it's thoroughly enjoyable. It's a really good funny book, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who maybe wants to read aloud to children of that age, or just remembers it from their own childhood and wants to read it again. I would definitely go back and read that again. And this one, I'll pop in a screenshot of the cover for this one as well. So I mentioned that I've been reading a lot of murder mystery recently, and one thing I did while I was on holidays, I downloaded a few books by Georgette Heyer, all similar in their context, but they're not a series. I was going to say they're not a series in the respective of recurrent characters. However, the police officers are recurrent, so I'm not really making much sense, am I? Anyway, they are murder mysteries set in the 20s and 30s. Very Agatha Christie in style, very gently written. I don't like gore. I like my murder mysteries to have a dead body with a neat stab wound in his back, and not too much. I don't like dismemberment, for starters. That upsets me no end. So I like a gentle Agatha Christie style murder. I like to try and guess the murderer myself. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. But I downloaded 4 by Georgette Heyer in total. Behold, Here's Poison, Why Shoot a Butler, A Christmas Party, and Death in the Stocks. The first one I read was Death in the Stocks. The murder victim is found on the village green, locked into the ancient stocks that were there for punishing wrongdoers back in the day. And he has a nice neat stab wound. As I said, this is what I like in a murder victim. I like him to have a nice neat stab wound. It's all nice and tidy, then you can see what did it. But he doesn't live in the village. He only has a summer residence in the village, and he's not particularly popular in the village, as often summer visitors are not, because they take up housing that locals would like to use. And a young lady is found in his cottage, and she has no right to be there, so she immediately becomes suspect number 1. It's quite. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough to make me want to download the other 3. So I would certainly recommend. I won't tell you who done it. I won't spoil it that way. But the other 3, Behold, Here's Poison. Again, similar kind of vein. They're very, very much the gentry. The cast of characters are all from the gentry. There are servants, there are butlers, but it's the story focuses around the family, and they're always very gentrified. Why Shoot a Butler is another similar vein, and The Christmas Party, I think, was my favourite. That was I spotted the murderer quite early on. I was quite pleased with myself for that one. So in that one, a family they're all drawn together to the house of their elderly uncle for a Christmas party, which none of them want to attend. and furthermore, he doesn't want to hold it. So that's and I don't think there'll be any spoilers if I tell you that, funnily enough, the elderly, irascible, unpleasant uncle doesn't make it to the end of the book. I don't think that'll be a surprise to anyone. Those are definitely worth a read, and I didn't realise that Georgette Heyer wrote murder fiction. I thought she wrote Regency romances. Apparently she did, but I didn't realise she wrote these as well. So that was a nice surprise, and I very much enjoyed all 4 of those. Those are all Kindle editions. Something that I found a little bit more tricky this month was this one. I've got this one actually here in physical form. This is published in the British Library Crime Classics range, which both Mel from Sparrow's End and I really enjoy. So anytime I see these, I grab one. When I finish them, I send them to Mel. I'm warning you, Mel, this is coming your way, and you may feel about it the way I did. The British Library Crime Classics are, again, usually quite gentle murder fiction, mostly set between the wars or shortly after the Second World War. Mostly in the vein of Agatha Christie, that kind of thing. Usually not too much gore, usually not too much suspense. This one was slightly different, although it was set in the same time period, and although it is the classic locked room mystery, there was more of a sinister vibe to this one. So much so that I started reading it late at night, had to stop, put it down, and go and fetch the next one on my list. So I won't tell you the storyline of this, apart from the fact that the killer is quite a scary chap in this one. Quite a scary one. Frightened me so much that I had to go into Natalie's room and fetch these. So these are Enid Blyton, and they are the 5 Find Outers and Dog. And talk about going back and reading things you read as a child. I've got The Mystery of the Spiteful Letters and The Mystery of Tally-Ho Cottage. Do you remember the 5 Find Outers and Dog? There was Fatty, Larry, Daisy, Pip and Bets, and of course Buster the dog. And they divided their time between solving local mysteries and tormenting PC Goon. PC Goon, what a wonderful name for the comedy policeman in any kind of children's story. Poor old PC Goon only ever does his best to do his job and to solve the mysteries, and those dratted kids that get there before him and make him look silly every time. I know that in this day and age there is a lot of Blyton's work that is simply very non-PC. That a lot of the vernacular she uses is not acceptable these days, and I'm not condoning that in any way. There isn't any of that in the 5 Find Outers and Dog. There is a little bit of that looking down on poor people. Poor people are almost the criminals in Enid Blyton's books. You can guarantee if somebody's done something naughty, it's the poor people, or worse, the travellers or the fairground people or whatever. There isn't too much of that in the 5 Find Outers and Dog. Certainly not in these 2, although there are some poor people. It's actually rich people who are naughty in this one. And yeah, I needed these to counterbalance the sinister aspect of this one, because like I said, started reading it late at night and got a bit antsy, got a bit like, oh, I don't think I like it. I need something vanilla to wash away the taste. So I finished this one in daylight, and I did enjoy it, and I didn't see the end coming. I did not spot the murderer in this one. These ones, you can always enjoy these at any time of day. They're just a vanilla milkshake to wash down your hot dog with. That's basically what they are. I've read another one of Kerry Greenwood's Phryne Fisher novels this month. These are the Miss Fisher Murder Mysteries as they were translated on television. So you may have seen those. I think they were originally on ITV, and they can certainly be seen on crime channels now. Again, set in the 20s, Phryne Fisher is an extremely wealthy, very self-possessed, very independent young woman who absolutely does not care a fig what anyone thinks of her, and will not allow murders to take place anywhere around her without sorting it out. I really enjoy these. I'm actually disappointed to discover that I'm only 2 away from the end of the series. For some reason, Ms. Greenwood hasn't written any more since 2016. She was popping out pretty much one a year for many years, and perhaps she got bored of Phryne, I don't know. If you're watching Ms. Greenwood, and there's absolutely no reason why she should be, but if for any chance you are, or if anyone knows her who's watching, who knows Kerry Greenwood, please ask her to write another one. I really like these. This particular one is Murder in the Dark. It's Christmas, and Phryne has an invitation to the last best party of 1928, a 4-day extravaganza being held at Werribee Manor House and grounds by the Golden twins Isabella and Gerard Templar. Phryne's in two minds about going when she starts receiving anonymous threats warning her against attending. She promptly decides to accept the invitation. After all, no one tells Phryne what to do. Very well written. They're all very well written. They've got a little bit fatter as the series gone. The first one was thinner. Maybe that's why she stopped. Maybe they started taking too long to write. But it was very well written. I really enjoyed it. And there's always a strange ending to those that you don't necessarily see coming. Also, have read another one of the Kate Shackleton mysteries by Frances Brodie this month. This one is A Snapshot of Murder. This one disappointed me. I thought the ending was weak and strange, and there was a big chunk missing that I thought I had spotted. I thought I'd spotted an occurrence that was never further explored. So I found that odd. This kind of, you get to the end of the book and you think, hang on a minute, they did not go back and deal with that situation that happened earlier on. They started strong, but as the series has gone on, I'm not enjoying them quite as much, and I don't know if I would continue to read them. But there's probably about 10 or 12 in the Kate Shackleton series. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 11. So there you go. I said 10 or 12. This is 11. I wasn't far off. It's not that I wouldn't recommend them. It's just that, as I say, the early ones I think were stronger. So if you are looking for a gentle murder mystery, these are set in definitely 1920s. They are after the end of the First World War. Our heroine lost her husband in the First World War. He was missing, presumed dead, and has never turned up. So for a long time she believed he would come back. And again, she's another independent woman who is not particularly worried by what people think of her. So the supporting cast can become a little irritating at times. Some of them you think, I'm not quite sure why you're there. You're not serving a purpose. But give them a go if you like murder mysteries. Certainly, let's say the early ones are stronger. At this point, I'm going to have to insert a picture because I should be holding a book and it's disappeared. I also read this month Pigeon Post by Arthur Ransom. Now, this is a reread for me. I read all of the Arthur Ransom books as a child. I've kept them and I've reread them over the years. And every now and again, I pull one off the shelf and just go straight back into Swallows and Amazons world. If you're wondering what Pigeon Post is, it's a continuation of the Swallows and Amazons story. It's a sequel to Swallows and Amazons. And in Pigeon Post are a group of children who we met in Swallows and Amazons are now on the search for gold. They're gold mining in the hills. They're determined to find gold before Captain Flint comes back from his overseas travels. I love Arthur Ransom. I love Swallows and Amazons. There's been 2 film adaptations of Swallows and Amazons. They've both been okay, but nothing quite beats the books. It is, again, that slightly pre-war period, which I really do lean towards in a lot of things that I read. Just at a very different time to the times we live in now. And it's, you know, when you think if I could have lived in any other era, then perhaps Between the Wars would have been the bit where I belonged. Kids were kids, but they were allowed more independence, and they went off. These children go off, and they're allowed to cook and camp out and light fires and use pocket knives and go mining and all sorts of things that children these days playing Minecraft. These children went mining. So if you haven't ever read Swallows and Amazons, start with that one. Move on to the rest of the series. There's probably, again, 9 or 10 books in the Swallows and Amazons series, all featuring the same cast of characters, and they're all definitely worth reading. However, I read it, I put it down, I went to fetch it from where I knew I'd put it to feature it in this video. Disappeared. Completely disappeared without a trace. It will turn up, no doubt, the moment I finish filming. But I'll try and insert a cover picture for you. You must excuse me for my cold, by the way. I'm going to edit out most of the coughing, but you may wonder why my voice sounds funny at times. That is it for this month. So last month, October, I read a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books. That is not bad. Probably slightly less than I would have read if my personal circumstances had been different this month. I've gone through some family stuff and various other things that have been going on. And perhaps I watched more television at night because I wanted to not think, because I wanted my brain to just turn to glue and pour out of my ears the way it does when you watch television. So perhaps I've watched more television than usual this month. However, perhaps that's been balanced by the fact that I read more while I was on holiday. I don't know. So it'd be interesting, having done this for the first time this month, It'd be interesting if I do a November version to see how much I read in November and whether the numbers tally up accordingly. I would love to hear your comments down below if you've read and enjoyed any of the books I've mentioned, or if I've made you want to read any of them. If you think there's anything I've missed out, please do mention that again. This is my first What I Read video, so I may be missing out all sorts of stuff that you guys would have liked me to tell you. So if you've enjoyed it, do hit the like, and please comment below. And if you haven't subscribed already and you'd like to see more, please do subscribe. If you think I should make more What I Read videos, let me know. If you think I shouldn't, let me know. I might not listen to you, but let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with you soon with another video. Take care. Bye bye.